Well, hello and welcome to the show. And you know, I'm sure you're aware of this already, but it's officially now the hottest April on record. That's official. Isn't it great? Hasn't the weather been fantastic? But it's been too hot. It's been so hot. I haven't sweated this hard since I interviewed Lady Gaga. It's been sizzling hot. It's been hotter than Jackie Smith's DVD collection. Since I interviewed Lady Gaga. We'll be safe with that one. It's been so hot, Susan Boyle has threatened to start wearing a bikini. Britain's got too much talent. Talking of Susan Boyle, among just some men who may not look much, but when they open their mouths, they bring pleasure to millions. It is my house band. 4 puffs and a piano, ladies and gentlemen. There they are.
Always believe it, you are gold.
I love it. One of these days, they'll all turn up at the same time for rehearsal. Shall we have a look and see who's in my green room this evening, ladies and gentlemen? Why not? It's a fabulous lineup. My first guests are an 80s supergroup reborn. They are the one and only Spandau Ballet. Here they are. Look at that. All 5 of the Spandau Balleteers. It's great to have you back. I'm delighted you're on the show. Spandau Ballet, ladies and gentlemen. And they will be singing for us as well as chatting. They're going to be performing this evening. Great to have you here. My next guest is a global music and television phenomenon. As Hannah Montana, and now as herself as well, she is the lovely, talented and hugely successful Miley Cyrus. Hey, Miley, lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Older viewers, and I will number myself amongst the older crowd here, will of course remember her father, the great Billy Ray Cyrus, and his achy, breaky heart. And I'm pleased to see that the mullet has skipped a generation. Yeah. But it's lovely to have you here. It's Miley Cyrus, ladies and gentlemen, Hannah Montana. My next guest is beaming in as we speak. He's not just here, he'll be here any minute. He's one of the stars of the new Star Trek movie. He is Simon Pegg, ladies and gentlemen. He's not here right now. He'll be with us. He's not there, you see. My last guest is an Oscar-winning British actress who brings a touch of class to everything she does. It's always a pleasure to have on the show, a huge thrill. She is the wonderful Dame Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren. Wow. We've got the Queen, we've got Scotty from Star Trek, Hannah Montana, the Spans. What a lineup. Tony, I hope you've set your Betamax at home to record all this. If you haven't, I tell you what, you can borrow my phone and you can call home. I've got my mobile out.
I've got one of them.
That's a crap one to do it. Those were the days. Shall we get my first guest out? Why don't we? I've been waiting a long time to have them on this show, about 25 years. They were huge in the 80s. They're going to be even bigger this time around. Let's have a look at them back in their prime. There's some great memories there, aren't there? Will you please welcome Tony, Marty, Steve, Gary and John. It's Spandau Ballet! Well, we've got to find a way of... shall we do this? How do you want to sit? You want to just get comfy. Just get comfy. It's great to see you back together. It really is. I'm genuinely very, very excited about that.
Thank you.
I know what some of you do. I know you've been performing and you've been singing. I've seen you out at a few things. Obviously, you've both been doing a bit of acting. What have you guys been doing? What have the rest of you been up to?
I went to Ibiza for a few years and got into the...
A few years in Ibiza?
A few years, yeah. Went over there for a bit of change of scenery and stayed there for about 12 years.
That must be a lovely place to be, a lovely UAE.
Yeah, it is. Fantastic.
Yeah. And
I've still been mostly looking at Tony Hadley's arse on stage.
you've been touring with Tony, of course you have.
I'm enjoying it, pal. It's my place in the world, looking at the back of Tony.
Well, over the years, you must have seen it change shape quite drastically. Look, let's face it, we're all men of about the same age, and we're all looking pretty good for our age, if I say so myself. I think we are. I think Gary and Martin look remarkable. You've obviously have absolutely no fun whatsoever. Tony spread. There was a headline this week, Spandau Ballet, and it was you won it. And that was unkind, I thought. But I've seen you out at charity do's, and every time I do a charity do, and I don't know that many, but every time I go to one, you're there. You do so much charity work, and I've come to the conclusion it's just for the free food. Because he's always clear with his plate. You eat more chicken. I'm joking. Hey, OK, look. Before we, we're going to have fun, and I love the fact you're here. And I heard the guys rehearse earlier on. It sounded fantastic. I think, and I'd seen you live years ago. It does sound like you're really just that much more comfortable playing now. I don't know whether it's because you've been away and you want it more, or...
Well, I think, we haven't got sort of, worrying, is this record going to be a hit, and where's our position in the charts and all of that. So I think there's they are already hits. I think we were just so grateful to be back together again. It felt
really comfortable. It really does. I mean, I couldn't have gone on tour unless we'd become friends again, and we have become friends, and it feels really good, and we're playing great, and...
same old jokes.
I mean, just same old
jokes.
No
one finds fun.
Most of which you can't tell on this show.
But here's the thing, obviously I'm thrilled you back together, but it was a pretty acrimonious split that you had when you guys split up, and there was a court case, and, and you were quoted as saying, never, ever we get back together. I remember reading one quote where you said something like, many bands say that they'll get back together when hell freezes over. Even when hell freezes over, we will not get back together. It seemed about as definitive a position as you could occupy.
It probably was, from
my
perspective at the time. I've got to say, I mean, Johnny Keeble has been absolutely fantastic as Henry Kissinger-type character.
As a mediator.
Yeah, and he's been brilliant. And it's taken some time, but, we said what we had to say, and you get older and you get wiser, and it's a very comfortable feeling.
But it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because, all families have big arguments, and then you come back together. And when you do come back together, a lot of the time it's stronger.
Let me ask you where it's... When did you first start performing? Because you were kind of knocking around post-punk in like 76, 77. But when did Spandau Ballet first appear?
Well, we were sort of... without my brother, even, we started at school, but the makers we were before Spandau Ballet.
I was carrying the equipment. I was the roadie.
He was in a band called The Defects.
Steve Dagger said, your brother, he's the best-looking bloke we know. Does he play? No, he doesn't.
So but you must have heard that from your mother many times before, I'm sure. Right. So they must have been used to that kind of thing.
Listen, don't listen to it. It was my mum who got me in the band.
I hear it from my wife now.
My mum said to Gary, if you're going, he's got to come.
Well, after him there. Go on, look
the thing is, you mentioned about the Makers, and this shows you, I actually saw you live, or some of you live, as the Makers. Your stage gear, if I remember correctly, was bright green and brightly coloured Hawaii shirts, tight-fitting white jeans. And you even ended on a song, and Christ knows why I remember this, that went pin-ups, 1 in a million, pin-ups, and you, for some reason, jumped off the stage, picked up a young woman, and ran out of the pub with her over your shoulder.
He always does that, every gig.
Yeah. She was never seen again. We assume he ate her. What? But Spandau had a very distinctive sound and also a very distinctive look back then, because you kind of heralded, helped kick off, and you were, I guess, the first group to be labelled as New Romantics,
we walked into a club called Billy's, and there was about 50 people in there, and I think most of those have gone on, like John Galliano and Boy George and Midge-Ure, and all gone on to have massive success, and it was this tiny little club, and we said, they haven't got a band to dance to. Quick, let's get a synthesizer.
So there was a kind of a movement, but